Hi there, it's Quinn from FabriKated Quilts, and today we're going to talk about some just free motion mnemonics that will help you as you plan your designs and think about different ways to create more visual interest with the pieces that you have. So ruler work is my passion. I love it. I do it a lot, and so you'll see that I often will be using my ruler foot. And that helps me to be able to change over to my ruler foot at any time. So if I wanted to do this straight line and then do my fill, then I have easy access to that at any moment. So let's go ahead and we'll do this bottom line. So with my ruler foot, I want it 1/4 inch away. So I'm just going to go ahead and outline this space really quickly, and then we're going to work on it. So the mnemonic that I've created for the next several sessions, and I'll try to kind of keep you in the front view here, we're going to do something called draft. Okay, and what that means is just some different letters that will help us think about how we're going to create designs for the spaces so that we can think about varying them up and creating visual interest. Hi Lillian, how are you doing? All right, let's finish this up and we'll come right to this corner. That'll help us close that design. I think we need one more stitch up top to get in line. Now, all of these triangles are isosceles, which means they have the same side value. So the bottom and these sides, these are all the same. So there is no top or bottom unless I decide to make a top or bottom. So we're right here and we're going to start our first line right across the space. So D stands for direction. And what we're going to do with this one is we're going to change the direction, and we're going to use that directionality to create the visual interest for our space. So the very first thing we're going to do is just make a curvy line. And we're going to aim to end in the middle here somewhere. And it's not, specific. It doesn't have to be exact. We're trying to open up the doors of free motion and not make you have to have everything super perfect, okay? So we're just going to do a little wiggly line. And it's kind of nice and casual. So just make it pretty. So I'm going to show it to you real quick. Okay, so it's gentle. There's nothing really deep or difficult about it. Now I have a decision to make right away. I can decide that I want to put my echo, because I'm going to echo this line. I can echo on this side or this side. And that's just your personal preference. If one side is bigger, you may want to echo on that side to keep the space visually even. If you don't care, do what you want. When I start back, I want the needle to gradually move away from, let me show you. So if this was where I was starting, right away I'm there at the same point, and I want to gradually move away, very slowly move away and open up that space a little bit. And then as I get back to the start point, I'm going to gradually start closing my distance there so that I can end back where I started. So you're going to get kind of a little pointy thing right here. You don't want to jet out and then start curving. You want to kind of gradually move away from this line. And this is the foot space approximately. So then in the midline here, I'm going to use this foot as the distance gauge. And then gradually, I'm going to look inside the foot to try to get my needle right back to where I started. Now I'm going to be doing it backwards, but I wanted to be able to show you my thought process as I'm working. So right away, I'm going to try to follow this line pretty close. And then gradually, I'll move away from it. And I'm looking right here for that visual spacing right there. And just try to follow it. You're not trying to make it perfect. And now gradually, I'm going to come right back and let's see how it looks. Let's see how we did. Awesome, right? It looks fine. Okay, so we were talking about directionality today. So right here, as we are making some designs, we're just going to scoot down here and we're going to vaguely follow that. So I want about a visual space of about 1 inch. So we'll just make like a little mark right here. The mark says I'm going to come down here, and now I'm going to start vaguely following this line like this, and I'll come back. And the purpose of that is now I have a channel right here that I can fill, and then right here we'll put like just a little wiggle. We'll kind of go like that, and we'll just follow that back like that. So then we'll have 2 channels. How do I get there? If you're free motioning, you can just slowly track up this same seam, and when you get comfortable where you are, remember it doesn't have to follow exactly. Touch the line and immediately start back, and grade it gently so you can get back where you started. Okay, this is kind of a long line to follow, so we could fill this one first and then kind of work our way around. So the goal would be to fill in these spaces, and I have just a few ideas. So let's talk about this space right now. This space is curvy, but I'm going to just show you that this is kind of the middle of it right here. And so when I start a design, if I have a design in here, I kind of want it to go kind of like that, so that it will stay sort of perpendicular. And I think that's just a personal preference. You don't have to do that, but I like that because then that'll help me have a visual for how I'm going to fill it. So we'll come up a little bit so we're at the top, and we're just going to undulate. Now I'm using my foot kind of as a space right there, as a visual spacer. Now let me show you something. Right as this foot is coming up here, I'm going to start thinking about it's touching right here in the back. So I'm going to start thinking immediately I've got to be curving. See how it overlaps? So you got to start thinking about turning maybe before you're ready a little bit. And so those little lines that I made, notice how I'm going to try to keep my lines a little bit parallel to them in order to help my curves travel. So I want you to watch my fingers right here. I'm just moving very slightly with my fingers. There's not a big motion of my arms. In fact, my elbows are on the table, resting on the table. Curve. I think sometimes we have to curve a little sooner than we think, right? And look at how beautifully the foot is able to help space that right away. So we have one little channel to fill, one more channel right here. So scoot over. And you could see there is some double stitching. That's pretty common. You shouldn't be afraid of that. The one thing I will tell you is it's just like anything. So here's my story about not being afraid to overstitch. So grandma takes Johnny out. He's 3 or 4 years old. He goes to the soccer game, soccer field, and the coach is like, "Here, Johnny, here's the ball. Oh, kick the ball." And Johnny winds up, and he does a whopping kick, and he misses the ball. So grandma comes over, and she's like, "Oh, Johnny, good try. You know, that's great, honey. Here, give me your hand. Okay, we're going to go. You're no good at this, so you can just give up. We won't try to do it anymore." Said, "No, grandma, ever," right? So if you don't practice overstitching, you won't be good at it. The only way to get good at it is to do it more. So I try to think about any chance that I have an opportunity to overstitch, I try to do it. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll use, I guess we better make that line in first. So let's make that line. And we'll just wiggle it in and get it into the seam, and we'll go back. And we're trying to make them kind of touch right there. So let's show you what we're going to do next. We'll fill this one with a little different design. So we're just going to put little arcs in there. So it doesn't matter if they go all the way down to the bottom. As long as you're touching here, when you do the next arc, just come up about 3 stitches above this one, and then just start another arc. 1, 2, 3, and another one right there. Okay, and now we'll just, let's count maybe 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's good enough. Now we'll do 3 more. 1, 2, 3. And they're kind of skinny now. We don't have very much room. So let's count of our 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you can kind of look and see, you know, do you have enough space? And then we'll do another one. 1, 2, come up a little, 3, and then when we come up here, we may not have enough room for all 3, so just put whatever you can fit. Then it'll look intentional even if it kind of goes off of the edge, right? And then you can just fill in those little areas. You can put scribble in there, whatever you want to do. So we've done this one side. We've created a directionality like this on this side. So the purpose of this lesson was to show now what do? We have to travel over here. So we already have quite a few, you know, extra stitching. That happens. No big deal. You know, when you're looking at this now, are you like, oh my gosh, there's too much stitching? No, it's fine. It's totally fine. And if this was the ditch, you could hide that really, really easily. So now what are we going to do with this other side right here? We want to do something different. We want to change our direction this time. So let's put something else in right here. We'll move down this line a little bit. And we want to create something that instead of going this way is going to go this way. So let's try, and we can use just the same curls that we did before. And we'll come down. And we'll go down a couple more, and we'll put a little S in there. And we'll echo it back. And we'll put a little S in there. And we'll echo it back. We'll put a little S, and we're going to make the S a little longer. And we'll make the S come back. A little bit more. Make it a little longer now. Okay, and then we'll come down a few stitches. And here you could even use your foot as a space. Like if my spacing started to get bigger than I wanted, I could echo on the top here. So you can always make that correction. That'll help us if we kind of get wonky. Okay, so we can use our foot as a visual spacer right here. So we're going to go up, make our little S. And echo it back. So this is a lot of that same echo. If you've ever done McTavishing, it's kind of that same action. And it helps you because you're practicing a movement. And then you're going to practice the same movement back, which is great for overstitching. And it's also great for control. So let's just go down a couple more. I think we can fit a little baby one in there. Don't try to force him to fit. If he won't fit, that's okay. Just let him not fit. And then we'll just bring him back here to close the design. All right, so let's show you what we got. What do you think? Do you like that? And you could fill in any of these spaces if you wanted to. And what we have with this one is we have this bi-directional visual interest. So just by making sure that we made a really determined, strong change of direction, we've created a strong visual interest because people are going to follow, the eye's going to follow this up to the point, and then they're going to be like, oh, wait, let's go down this way. So this is very attractive. It brings your eye right into the design, and you can tell that nothing that we did was super complicated in terms of shape or anything like that. Nothing's really, really perfect. It doesn't have to be exact measurements or anything. If they touch or they don't touch, it's okay. It still looks great. And you can see that you could use different threads, different colors. You could do all of the outlining in one color, and then you could do fill in another color. So I just want to encourage you, don't be afraid. Give it a try. This is just a little scrappy piece, so if you have some leftovers from a quilt sandwich and you have, a couple squares, just cut them into, say, 6 or 7 inch squares with the batting behind them. Just quilt something in each one, and when you have 20 of them, then you can sew them together and make something out of them. And what's really great is if you can do a start with the work that we're doing with free motion, then you're going to keep that. Start at the beginning of the year, put a little pencil mark out here with your date, and then 6 months from now, then you're going to take the pieces that you started with and put them up next to the pieces that you have 6 months from now. And I'm sure that you will see a dramatic difference in skill. And so remember, don't be afraid. Don't be anxious. That makes it a lot harder. What's the worst thing that can happen is, okay, I have a couple of extra stitches where I didn't want them. Big deal. It's fine. Okay, so I'm going to post this, and I would love to see what you're working on. If you try any of these designs, I would be thrilled to post them on my page and to acknowledge your effort. So if you want to share them, don't be afraid, because sometimes I get afraid, but I do it anyway. Just do it anyway. Alrighty, you guys, that's our free motion Fridays for today. And so today is D for direction. And then next time we're doing R for regulation, not as in stitch regulation, but as in regular. As in the design will be regular, but we're going to show you some innovative ideas for taking a regular design that is very basic and very even and creating more visual interest by how you apply it. Okay, so drafts is our next couple of weeks, one letter for each technique that we're going to share. All right. Have a great day, and I will see you guys on Sunday for our artisan curves on the Sew Steady Facebook page if you are interested in that. Have a great day, you guys.